Hello everyone, welcome back to another chill session of the Ukraine war conclusions. For those that are new, it's not mean the Ukraine war is over. It's not concluded. It's just the conclusions for the past days since the last conclusions, and so basically just to share a bit of my opinion, because I'm covering the war every single day. So I kind of have some a unique position to able to comment on things. I want to basically cover this time round in the conclusion today. By the way, happy birthday to you if your birthday today. Where the Russians are conducting the main offensives right now, and especially for you guys who might be pro Ukraine or have been watching a lot of the pro Ukrainian channels, they may not have been talking much about the frontline situations, and I can sympathize with your plight or their plight, because there is really nothing positive to talk about, generally speaking, from the Ukrainian perspective, except for there's this new video that's a massive airstrike on Tekino, over in the Sumy front. Oops, let me see, is here. So the Ukrainians have launched some airstrikes into Tekino, and that looks really spectacular from that video footage. But the Russians are making progress all over Sumy region, in the Sumy offensive. The Ukrainians is currently attacking Tekino to divert attention of the Russians over to this sector, which is not the main objective of the Russians. The Russians is currently pushing towards Sumy. So let me pull up the whole map a bit, so that it's a bit more clearer. So Sumy is here as Sumy is here, by the way. The Russians are currently conducting a major offensive directly in the direction of Sumy. They are attacking down these various flanks, and they have been gradually capturing grounds. They are also expanding over at Saki region, and there is also counterattacks over in the Tekino region as well as towards Pavlivka. So this is the general sense of the picture in Sumy. So there is not much positive for the Ukrainian pro-Ukrainian channels. No, so they are focusing on maybe this attack, this airstrike. But yeah, I'm neutral. I can't really be bothered. If Ukraine wins or do well, I also report it, and generally I get even more views. So the problem is not that I don't want more views, but the Ukrainians are not doing well enough. So Russia is winning right now, and that's that's the freaking reality. So the hypothesis so far is still looking to be pretty spot on for now, regarding the Russians are going to create a buffer zone around this line here. They are conducting this offensive. Saki is still not taken. The battle of Yunakivka is still ongoing. So is Yablunevka. So and Voronezh is not mentioned at all. And as such, we have a caterpillar, and it's sad. So but anyway, the Russians are still ongoing, creating this buffer zone. This hypothesis that the Russians may do a flanking operations west of the forest here may still be valid. And however, lately in the sitrep, I did mention that there might be a possibility that the Russians may go for the forest. So you can see that this region here, I expected this line to hold. I expected this line to be untouched by the Russian forces, that they will not try to conquer Kotin, Pesarivka, Malakochakivka, Korchakivka, Novosibirsk. I do expect the Russians to take all this in the initial analysis, because I expected them not to just to create a buffer, because whatever they have right now is actually pretty much pretty a lot already, because compared to the Kharkiv front, the Kharkiv front buffer zone is merely 5 kilometers. Like if you look at this 6 kilometers up to Voschansk, there is around 5 5 kilometers, 6 kilometers. So that is like the buffer zone in the Kharkiv region, and that already works pretty well as a buffer. But if you look at the situation here in Sumy, this is already 5 kilometers off Andriivka, and the regions of this Zuravka border all the way down to Yablunivka, this is already 9 kilometers. So this is way bigger than it is at the Kharkiv front. So if you talk about buffer, the Russians pretty much have a lot of buffer right now. They just need a few more, like Mykolaiivka, Vereshchine, Yunakivka, Sadki, as I mentioned earlier, and basically get a bit more around the forest region, Zapsilia, Mariupolia, all these things to create a buffer. But the sense that I get right now is that the Ukrainians are not defending as well as they could, and this might attract the Russians to actually go further, and the Russians may actually get tempted to actually go for Kotarkivka, Pisarivka, Kotin, capturing them, including Novosibirsk, and the whole chain here might all be taken. And if this line falls and the Ukrainians are unable to regroup properly, the entire rear positions may actually break out. So if the Russians manage to capture this line, the lines behind will be even more fragile. There is, of course, some major fortifications. The Ukrainians have so little confidence in their ability to defend. They did create, in due diligence, a lot of heavy trenches all over the place. It's not like they didn't. The thing is that they may not have the manpower to man it, and based on the fighting happening over in the Pokrov region, the Torex region, the Russians basically have just punched through heavy fortifications like it's nothing. So I wouldn't be surprised the fortifications over in Sumy region will be inadequate, and the Russians may just continue to penetrate through the forest, punch through the forest, the trench line, and starting to encircle Sumy. And I wouldn't be surprised that may happen. So this is the current outlook for the Sumy front. There's another major development is currently happening in the Torex sector, as mentioned just now. This is basically the South Konstantinivka region. So this is a major city of Konstantinivka, and this entire region tentatively is being called New York Front. But soon it might be called something else. If the Russians continue to drift closer and closer to Konstantinivka, the Russians are currently, in my hypothesis, the Russians are currently planning to capture all the way to Ivanopilia, Alexandro-Shutini, Viteshny, and then they will form a defense line in the north of this lake around here, and also potentially take the fortification of Brestok, Stepanivka, Dovkha Balka, Roskivshny, and along this water body here as well. This and of course they will push for Chasivya, take Stinky, and all these fortifications in the east. So then you will see the Ukrainians are totally encircled over in Konstantinivka, and to reach this formation, the Russians are currently attacking Bilokhora, Alexandro-Shutini. They are pretty successful at closing this salient here, fighting at Dilievka towards Plishevka, Kolobambi, Kantarinivka. They are attacking Petrivka. At Alexandro Kalinove, they have basically entered into the village, advancing pretty quickly around here with the Ukrainians unable to defend. They are now pushing into Yablunivka and towards Stepanivka. So this, and of course they are attacking in the other regions that is unrelated to this operation right now, at this moment for now. And we will see that the Russians will continue to go into Stepanivka and form this line, and then they're going to push up north. And from Yablunivka, they're going to pincer into Alexandro-Shutini and then hit towards Konstantinivka direction. And they could also potentially hit in the rear positions, closing down the whole place and capturing Filia, and then Alexandru Shutine, maybe perhaps even Pincer at Berdechne, and of course the Chasifia offensive continues to reach this current line. So this is one of the big offensive currently within the SMO itself. In fact, the Sumi is already becoming part of the SMO as well, the Special Military Operation. So this is one of the big offensive right now. This is the Sumi offensive is big one. This one. We can call this the Konstantinivka offensive if we want, across all the different front lines. This is actually a big one as well. There's another big one also developed just recently into something pretty significant. Is over in this western flank of Pokrov. This is Pokrov city. The Russian forces is conducting this major big arrow offensive westward. This, of course, could be related to the Koma front situation, but Koma front is is largely about taking the rest of this Donetsk Oblast region. But this western southern flank of Pokrov is a bit different. The Russian Defense Ministry have announced very proudly, almost daily, that they have entered into Dnipro-Petrov region. So this is currently happening. In the latest geolocation, we also have the Russian forces entering into Novomykolaiivka, and basically that is already at the border of Dnipro-Petrov. Potentially can cross the river into it as well. At Moravka, Troitsky, Horokove, they're strengthening the front line south of Troitsky, fully securing Bodanivka. They are going to continue to push westward and potentially heading towards Novopavlivka. So this action here is pretty significant. It is a PR disaster for the Ukrainians as the Russians entering into the Dnipro-Petrov Oblast. So this is definitely not going to be reported by the Ukrainian side. So if you're watching here and you're pro-Ukraine, subscribe, because I welcome pro-Ukrainian viewers. Although the comment section is going to look very scary because a lot of the pro-Russians are here, but don't be afraid. Face the reality, the truth. The truth is going to set you free and stop you from saying Slava Ukraini. Just listen to me say it. It's okay. You don't say it. You don't have to say it, because the more you say it, the more you curse Ukraine. Don't say it. It's a curse. So, which is why I say it, because because it cursed Ukraine. Anyway, so these are the three main big ones that I feel is currently happening. Zaporizhia front, in case you're interested, there is this very weird, very interesting operation conducted by the Russians over at Melanivka. This is an ongoing operation as the Russians are going to attack into Melanivka. I can zoom in to show you that this is one of the latest frontline changes. The Russians are merely less than a kilometer from the town, and the Russians could potentially go down the river or attack into the Buns in the south and continue to flank northward in the eastern flank and head into the rear positions in the north of Melanivka. So these are all the possibilities, and the battle for Melanivka would be interesting if the Russians actually takes it, or actually invades into it, because Melanivka has been flirted for 2 years now, and this is the first time the Russians seems to be really pushing it really hard. And Huaypole is also mentioned recently. So there is some very unusual situations currently happening at the Huaypole sector. So definitely have to keep a lookout for, because this is not supposed to happen. There shouldn't be so much action here. The Russians should be focusing on the Koma front, fully taking the rest of the Donetsk region. So suddenly the Russians pushing Melanivka is a bit suspicious. So again, it might be just diversion to pull Ukrainian forces away from defending where the Russians actually want to push. That is still a possibility, and there is also continued operations along the rest of the Zaporizhia front in Manatomashka region, Novoandelivka, Novodanilivka region, in the Kamsky sector. This is still ongoing, but I do not think this is a major offensive. This is more like a diversionary. They are trying to pin the Ukrainian forces, and the Ukrainian forces have no choice. They must hold this line. They must continue to send reinforcement in, even when they know that this is a diversion attempt, because if they don't, the Russians can overrun this heavily defended line, this heavily entrenched line. This heavy entrenchment cannot defend on its own without manpower. You still need manpower and troops and equipment to man the line. So, and the Russians are grinding this line away, and there is, according to my sources, heavy losses is being taken on the Ukrainian side along this Zaporizhia front. Despite the heavy entrenchment, the Russians have seemingly perfected the way to destroy entrenchments. So with the combination of FPV drone strikes, artillery strikes, and also air strikes. So in combination, any soldiers go on to man the trenches are becoming cannon foders, like for real. And the Ukrainians have no choice but to continue to send them in. If not, they're going to lose the territory. And this is a very pathetic way of defending. And if you are pro-Ukraine and you're watching this and you feel offended, yeah, bring your anger to the Ukrainian defense ministry, because they are defending in the very not the modern way of warfare. We always advocate, we always talk about mobile warfare for the past 30 years, mobile warfare. And what's so mobile about this? This is just cannon fodder. And this is clearly complained about by every military observer in the first year of war. Everyone is surprised how static the war became, how much trenches are being used, how it looks like World War One and World War Two. So, but you see, if one side decided to entrench, the other side can't really do mobile warfare. That's the truth. So for example, the Ukrainians have been successful, in their Kursk offensive when they enter into Russia. And then they managed to capture a lot of ground in a very short time. But that's because the Russians did not build a World War One style entrenchment. That's why the Ukrainians can do mobile warfare. But the moment they are unable to go further, they then started to entrench themselves and then go back to World War One style. And what happens? They got entirely destroyed and kicked out of Kursk region. What if they withdrew? They attack. They withdrew. They keep it mobile and keep it more unpredictable. There is a more modern way of fighting, but somehow what we get is just two different type of war being fought, and that's just how it end up becoming. I mean, but some people may disagree, that the Ukrainians, that they feel like they should conduct this kind of entrenchment warfare. But for me, I feel like it's a massive waste of troops. That's just what I think. So otherwise, there's some other sporadic offensives all over the place, but I don't think it's so important. The main one are those three. And so mainly that's about it. And that's one thing is that there is this interesting report the day before, where the Russians are pushing the Antonovsky Bridge. So this is a bit interesting, but don't expect too much of the Kherson front. From the Kherson front for now. From my projections, the Ukrainians probably at least still have 2 more months before we will see a new upgrade of the level of collapse, or the level of a degradation to the Ukrainian defensive capability. Probably another 2 months. Then we will see maybe the 20 square kilometers per day that we are now witnessing through my reporting in the Frontline Changes report. It might go into 30 square kilometers. And if it's 30 square kilometers or even 50 square kilometers is going to be very bad, and this will speed up faster and faster and faster as the Russians slowly move past all the heavy entrenchments. And when you don't have that much heavy entrenchments, then of course it's much easier for the Russians to overrun those positions. But anyway, this is just the conclusions, and this is just a theory, a film theory. No, just joking. I can't say it the way how you say it. It's okay. It's just a theory. And yeah, but anyway, my theory, and I'll see you guys and press the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next update.